rapidly evolving technology that is reshaping how we think about transportation and logistics throughout the state. We do have new opportunities for economic growth and connectivity in rural and urban Alaska, and the potential impact of drones in the state is profound. And our panelists bring a wealth of knowledge and experience, and I'm really excited to hear from them about their insights and how Alaska can stay at the forefront of drone innovation. So with that, I'd like the panelists to introduce themselves first. And Gabe, Millie, we'll start with you.
Hi. So, my name is Millie Johnson. I work for Chugach Alaska Corporation, but also too I want to tell you a little bit about myself. I'm an Alaska native. I was born in Kodiak, raised in Cordova. I was a commercial fisherman when I was a youngster. I've been working for Chugach for the last 23 years, and my focus is all about workforce development for our shareholders, our descendants, our Alaska Native people. And I'm excited about being here today to have that conversation about rural communities and the urban communities and how we are able to integrate the drone perspective moving forward.
Good morning. My name is Michelle Egan. I am the Chief Communications Officer for Alaska Pipeline Service Company. We operate and maintain the Trans-Alaska Pipeline System. And I wasn't born in Kodiak, but I was raised there. And one of the things that is really interesting about the Trans-Alaska Pipeline System is the amount of terrain that we cover and the number of people who come to work at Alaska who live all over the state, including in rural areas, urban areas, Fairbanks, Valdez, just really all over. We have a long-time commitment to a 20% Alaska Native hire and development, and so does our contractors, our major contractors. And what that means is that we have the benefit of having the people who care the most and know the most about the land and the water working on our system. And so I'm really excited to talk today about those connections and how this technology really draws us all together.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Gabriel Lau. I work at the University of Alaska Fairbanks' Teaching Through Technology program. I also grew up in Cordova, and Clay was here earlier, a lot of cool Cordova connections. I'm lucky to serve in a role as an educator and coordinator for our rural serving STEM outreach and workforce development programs. I get to travel out to villages to do exciting events with drones, with maker spaces, with sensors, with cyber, and really it's my honor to be here and also to be here alongside incredible panelists that I just am honored, and well as some students that will be sharing a little shortly. So thank you.
I will continue with a question for you. And my question, Gabe, is can you start by telling us about the specific programs or initiatives you're involved in and how you prepare students for careers with drones and unmanned aircrafts?
Yeah, thank you, Charlene. So the Teaching Through Technology Alaska program is a program that was actually born out of a National Science Foundation supported research program about 10 years ago that was called the Modern Blanket Toss. And I don't know how many folks can think of heard of the blanket toss before. You can envision, close your eyes, imagine a group of folks with a blanket throwing someone up in the air. And that's a traditional indigenous practice of Inupiaq and Yupik and many Alaska Native peoples to go up and see what's out there. Maybe there's some game that way, and the modern blanket toss, yep, you guessed it, was implementing drones into rural Alaskan communities and students programming. And the magic that we kind of worked with there was both teaching drone skills and doing community engagement projects with those skills. So whether it was mapping flood zones in Seward and in some of our southeast and Prince William Sound communities, or using UAVs to fly over the rivers and frozen kind of transportation corridors during breakup season to catch that rotten ice before someone kind of fell in and may have casualties. These are the types of applications that we're able to help students. Mapping erosion is another really, really powerful one. Communities like Shishmaref and others that are located up on the coast. It was so incredibly successful, this program, where when students get to learn something and use it, and where their community members, their elders are like, whoa, you guys, this is impactful, this is exciting. Thank you for sharing with us your knowledge. And that program was expanded to the Teaching Through Technology program. Now it exists in 16 rural communities across Alaska, and we've expanded not just from drones, but also into kind of just cyber and coding, networking skill sets and understanding sensors, remote monitoring, energy, and all of these things directly tie into this drone and AAM and this next generation of workforce that is needed to expand just the capacity in rural Alaska. I think when the reality in a lot of our rural communities is education is hard, and students sometimes don't feel that when they go to school. It's hard to feel the connection to why, the meaning of like, how does this directly apply to when I go home and talk to my grandparents and go out hunting and subsisting. When you can learn a skill that directly impacts and can show and present back in that meaningful way, it is how students and young people decide, I want to go towards this career. And with a economy and with a industry like transportation, aviation, and all of the things that go with that, it's an exciting. I'll add in another component is that through our programming, we have incorporated a badging process, and our program serves high school students. Maybe I missed that one, but kind of 7th and 8th graders up to graduating seniors. And as students learn to fly a drone, learn to program something, set up a sensor, they might get a drone level 1 badge after they've flown for a couple hours. Then, okay, what can I do next? Oh, the drone level 2 badge is do these maneuvers and maybe it's answer some quiz questions. Okay, what's next? And you go up, all of a sudden, hey, the next level is my FAA Part 107 commercial drone pilot's license. And we have lots of students all across rural Alaska that are studying and taking these tests, and have even gotten job offers when they're 16 years old, because the need is so great out in communities, and that's the pipeline. So partnerships is the other big theme I wanted to highlight here. The baseline program that we operate is a program that's funded mostly by the Department of Education, but as the program has incorporated more of this technology and workforce development, other partners such as the Alaska Center for Energy and Power and the Arctic program, programs like that we have Department of Defense supporters, there are others that come and say, whoa, this is a really credible program, and how can we support expanding the communities that you serve, expanding the fields and skill sets that you're teaching. So through ACEP, Alaska Center for Energy and Power support, we've been able to build a really strong energy curriculum and renewable energy and battery and microgrids that directly ties into those maintenance technicians and things that would be needed in a rural Alaska environment. So I'll end it there. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Michelle, so as an end user, how have drone technologies impacted your daily operations at Alaska? And can you share an example how you're using them today?
You bet. So if you're familiar with our pipeline system, it crosses a pretty challenging terrain. 800 miles, and then also we're out in Prince William Sound. 800 miles over 3 major mountain passes, through some pretty difficult weather. We cross 500 or more rivers and streams. And so our job is to do that safely and to make sure that we protect the environment. So we have a deep commitment to that. And it's critical work, and it has to be done safely. We found that using drone technology helps us be safer and more effective at what we're doing. We get better data, we get more innovative, we're doing a better job overall. So about 10 years ago, I want to tell this story because it's sort of an organic development that came from our employees. About 10 years ago, a group of employees who were recreational users for the most part got together and said we should be doing more with this technology, and they formed up a group and started to identify all the different ways that we could apply the technology. They developed the training internally, and also the process and the procedure for using the technology. If you have your Part 107 license and then you go through our course and test and agree to follow our procedures, it doesn't matter what your job is, we can use you on the pipeline in order to do our work. So one of the biggest early applications was we have, if you think about pictures of the North Slope, and then you see these flares, like a huge 100-foot tower, and then there's a flame coming out of the top, it's burning off vapors, and we knew that we needed to inspect this flare tip. But of course, you're not gonna put people up there, right, because it's like just a giant Olympic torch. And you don't want to take it down because there are challenges with that too. It has a safety purpose. And so we were able to use a drone to get up there and really inspect this flare tip, work with our regulators to make sure that they supported that technology and our ability to get good information, and then determine whether or not we needed to repair the flare. Since then, we also use it for things like, instead of putting somebody climbing up on riprap in a gravel pit to go look at inventory there, we'll use a drone for that. Of course, we use it to map terrain. We have used it to map areas where we need to determine whether or not a buried pipe needs a more inspection or more shoring up. So lots of data collection. We also have river craft that we can put out in order to see what's happening from an oil spill response and preparedness perspective. So when the river's not safe to go check on, we can actually send this vehicle out. So that's another technology. One of the folks who's been a real leader in our program, I was talking to him the other day, and he said what he wanted everyone to know is that this is just another tool in our toolbox. And it really doesn't matter what you do in our organization. If you have these skills and you can demonstrate it, we will use you for important work. And so we have an internship program that's going on right now. It's just about to wrap up. And I talked to an intern, his name's Isaiah, and he came to our program through the Alaska Native Science and Engineering program. He's a computer science major. But Isaiah was in middle school, and he was in an ANSEP program, and in that program, they took apart a drone, and then they put it back together, they built it, and so he kind of got inspired. But Isaiah was really more interested in photography and art, and so he started using drones for his own photography. Later, he went to work in the summertime for a real estate photography company, and they said, well, why don't you help us out with this? And he ended up getting his Part 107. As an intern, this wasn't his primary job, but he has been out flying for us, and he couldn't be here today or I would have made him do this. He's up on the Yukon as part of one of our drills, and he is flying today with infrared technology on the drone, looking for places where wildlife might be so that we can better protect those areas, knowing that there's a spot where, we need to go take a look. Or if there's oil in the area, that's a place where we need to send our habitat folks out and let them do some wildlife rescue. So just a great example of young people really bringing the technology and showing us how we can use it.
Really great, Michelle. I think the sky's the limit for what, no pun intended, or pun intended, for what drones can do. So Millie, moving on, with your deep connections in rural Alaska, do you see drone technologies impacting these communities, and what unique challenges or opportunities do you see?
Good question, and I 100% agree that it will be an impact on rural Alaska. And I was just recently having a conversation with Gabe in T3 about the training that they have for the high school students. And I think that's a great opportunity for the high school students, but also too, and I had a conversation with the rest of the team yesterday, I think it was yesterday. And I said, it's great that we're having the educational opportunity for the high school students, but we need to currently look at the current workforce between 18 and 30 years old that are living in the villages that may not have this opportunity, and how do we grow that? And so we've been having conversations, Chugach Alaska Corporation, Chugach Tribal Services, and T3 to figure out how do we navigate through this to open that door and have a different module per se for that group, that 18 to 13 or 30-year-olds. So with the village communities and our Alaska Native Hire, bottom line is that I would like to see that we have those opportunities for our people. And then in having the drone industry coming to Alaska, this is new to me, and I have to say this in this conversation, is because this is a new thing, in the state of Alaska, or maybe it's been around for a little bit, but it's having a little more depth and communication about the capabilities. But I put a pause real quick, because when we have a conversation about our Alaska Native people in our rural communities, in the urban setting, we need to be very mindful of, this is, and I call it a shiny new object, is we're honing in on this, and we want to make sure that individuals that are getting these certifications and that experience, that there's a job after they receive that certification or that degree in this capability. Because when individuals are really focused in on that, and they're excited about it, and they're shining, and they know that they have this degree or they have those certifications to be able to move forward, if there's not that opportunity, if you don't use it, you lose it. So if we're really focused in on making sure that our younger generation, and I'm not just talking about our current generation, I'm talking about our generations moving forward, 20, 40, 50 years from now, even 100 years from now, what does that mean? And we need to make sure that we're focused in on educating all people in Alaska, but specifically, I'm here to speak on behalf of our Alaska Native population. And we have brilliant Alaska Natives working in all different capacities, but this drone opportunity, I believe, would be a great success, and how it would bring it back home for the villages and the individuals that are living in the communities. A lot of people call them bush communities, but we call them our village communities. And being able to have those individuals be able to get that certification to be able to help out with lands or forestry, wildlife, mapping within the villages or the regions. And also too, working for the state of Alaska, federal government, contracts that are working those federal or state or Alaska contracts to be able to thrive, because it's not just about a small, it's almost like I'm hearing seasonal work, and then you're competing with the commercial fishermen. right? And the individuals that are working the coastal line, and how do we improve that so that it's a win-win for everyone? And one other thing that I want to bring up as well is that the competition in the summertime is subsistence. And if we're having opportunity for education, we need to make sure that the education is more geared towards fall, winter time versus in the spring, summertime, because at the end of the day, if we're speaking about our village communities and our Alaska Native people, their subsistence and their hunting and their gathering for the winter, and we can't compete with that. But we want to be able to enhance that with that drone capability. I see that this can be a win-win, a wonderful marriage of being able to have those certifications and that education to be able to have those opportunities. But we need to know what those opportunities will be, because we're talking about the education, but there has to be an economic value at the end of the day, and people need to be able to prosper. And so you need to keep thinking about that, and what companies are really focused in on hiring individuals with that capability, and how many are out there today in the state of Alaska. Because we don't want individuals moving out of state, we want to keep individuals in state. We want to grow the population here in Alaska, and we want to sustain the population here in Alaska, right? I mean, we want to thrive as well, right? So, going back to the high school students, that is so amazing, and I love that. I heard the Minto story. I want to hear the Minto story in all the villages. I want that same story, and I want to hear the other students that are living in those villages to have that same Minto story, because what pride that is, and then they move forward with what they want to do in their future lives, right? And drone capability, and also to working for Chugach, Alaska, or Chugach Government Services, or Alyeska, or any other ANC or oil and gas industry, or the state or the feds. We want to make sure that we have prosperity. Prosperity for our youth and our younger generations and our generations to come. Because we're here for just a moment in time, and we have to get it right so they can move things forward, for the future. So thank you.
So much. So, growing up in rural Alaska, in Nulato, a lot of times if you wanted to have an employment opportunity, you had to leave the community, you had to live and work someplace else. I see drones as an opportunity to keep our rural Alaska communities whole. So with that, my next question for you is, how can educational institutions, end users, and rural communities collaborate to ensure successful implementation?
Sure. Well, thank you. And please follow me here. But I wanted to share a story of a student that was in our program who's from the village of Quinhagak, which is a small village southwest on the Kuskokwim Bay region. This student got involved and started to fly drones as a 14, 15-year-old, right? And was able to partner with a local organization that was doing some mapping of an archaeological site and was flying there. Something came up while in fall when the researchers who are normally there, who have Part 107s and all this, were not there. A boat, a big oil, like the fuel ship, got beached outside, and folks could kind of see it out there. Oh, what's going on? Are the people okay? And this kid, his name is Brian Jones. He's like, hey, we got a drone. Let me pull it out and fly it over. And he was able to go down, assess the situation, talk with the local emergency manager and folks there. And that student now is still living in Quinhagak, but he's got his Part 107 license and is a union worker with the company isn't coming to my name now, but he's a drone pilot, and that company will have him there in Quinnahock, and will fly him to other villages as needed to go and do drone surveys, do different technical jobs, and that right there is the story that the need exists. There are mapping needs across all over Alaska. As I know, I mean, some of our industry partners that are here at the conference are doing surveys and maps across hundreds of communities, and I don't want to speak for them, but I bet it might be hard to have enough people to do all those maps in one season. And that is where there is a capacity. Young people, I mean, as someone who gets to often be in the room or there helping a student fly a drone for the first time, it's second nature to them. They've been playing PUBG and games on their phone, know how to go up and down and over and left and right and do all that, and this could be a job, and I could live here. And then it speaks to also the opportunity for, as we were speaking, you know, kind of full-time and employment can be difficult for many folks in the rural communities because of that subsistence lifestyle. So what opportunities exist are gig employment, right? As contractors, say, hey, who in this community has a Part 107 license that could do this map and do something? And then I think going beyond that into the future of autonomous and advanced air mobility and all of the infrastructure around that, of the maintenance of the ports, or the maintenance of equipment as it comes in, so those operators, the IT services needed, all of those are bringing jobs to rural communities, which is just really exciting. So.
Yeah, I think your question really was focused on collaboration, and I think we have a lot of helpful programs here in the urban area. Diamond High School has a class where students can get all the way up to getting their Part 107. We have the Academies of Anchorage program coming, which is very career-oriented. That program has a lot of business involvement, but what occurs to me is that students in rural Alaska, they may be getting the experience, but where is the mentorship that connects them? And so I think businesses like ours really have to get more engaged in showing the role models and the opportunities, because you might learn a skill, but then to also connect that to someone who has the job. I talked about Isaiah. Well, he wouldn't necessarily be doing this if the person who owned the real estate photography company hadn't said, hey, go do your thing. And so I'm really interested in how we can sort of partner up and really make that circle work.
So for myself, I think the collaboration would be not only for the high school students, we need to collaborate with all the school districts within Alaska, and there's many of them. There's not one, there's about 52 or maybe more. So making sure that the school districts are on board, so that every student in Alaska, high school student, has that opportunity. And so that's the first and foremost. That's where we need to make that connection first, right, for the high school students. And then collaborating with the businesses that have that capability or that funding to be able to have that training session. T3 is a great opportunity. I just recently found out about it this week, and so having that connection, and I really am just excited about having that connection for our high school students, but we need to have that connection also too for our younger generation, 18 to 30, that are out of high school and need that connection. And so we're gonna have more discussion with T3 on how do we get that module for that specific age group. And then, but making sure that, there's not necessarily needing a union for drones, but there has to be a go-to place for individuals with that capability and who is keeping track of all of those certifications. And then if a company is needing an individual with that certification out in that one area within that village, and it could be upper interior, that they're able to get that individual that's living in that community to be able to work that project. So that's where we really need to collaborate and not having individuals coming in from, or going out from the urban setting to go into a village where we have somebody that has that certification and that has that capability. We need to start thinking smarter, and it's more cost effective. And then you have those individuals that live in that community, that know the community, know the terrain, and know that environment completely, and that's a win-win for everybody.
So, employers, there are tremendous opportunities there, so I think it's important that we come together and really identify these avenues for collaboration. Okay, well, I think we are getting close. So, Gabe, I think it's now time for your presentation.
Well, thank you, and I appreciate, but it is not my presentation. I'd like to invite Natalia Ashton and Sam Atchak up on the stage with me, who are two high school student leaders who have been involved in our T3 program and have been here at the conference with us. They're going to share some slides about a project that, here, come on over. Well, I'll let them introduce themselves, but I'm just so proud and excited to have them here with us. So, yeah.
Good? Okay. Hi, my name is Natalia Ashton. I'm from Wrangell, which is down in Southeast. I have been with the T3 program for around 2 years now, and I'm a sophomore in high school. I should probably say that. In Wrangell, we've had a lot of collaborations with the Forest Service, such as doing things like mapping out cabins and potential trails, and also getting footage for implementing our live stream cameras for our Annan Bear Observatory.
Hi, my name is Samuel Atchak. I'm from Bethel. I'm 17 years old. I am a senior over at Bethel Regional High School. I've been in the TC program for 1 year now. Some of the collaborations we were with YKHC, Merck, and Quasi. One of our drone pilots, Jeremy Thatcher, he was operating a mission to fly drones out of sight to deliver medicine and all that type of stuff out to villages. We also partnered with our local fitness center because they were experiencing a leak in their roof, and they were wondering if we could find the leak instead of paying $2 million for replacement.
So during one of our last summer programs, we were both in the drone strand, so we were taught how to fly drones. We started off with little Telos, and then we moved up to DJI Mini 3s, and then we moved up to Phantom 4 RTKs, which was donated by the Alaska DOT. One of our projects was going up to a village, Minto, as you probably heard, just northwest of Fairbanks. We met with the Minto Village Council, and they asked us to make them some maps. So we made maps of the cemetery, of the landfill, the log jam, and of their village.
These maps were made with photogrammetry. That's taking a lot of photos and stitching them together. As you see on the pictures up there, we made a couple maps. There's a map of the log jam, of the town, and of their landfill. For the log jam, we had to go about east a little ways from the village. The log jam was pretty big for that area, and I'd like to hand up.
As you can see in the bottom middle picture, on the last day that we were in Minto, we had a community drone event where we taught the people of Minto how to fly drones. In that one, we're teaching one of the elders how to fly one of our tello drones. The bottom left, that was us actively presenting the digital twin. In the bottom right, that was us mapping the gravel pit because they wanted to expand that too, along with expanding the landfill and expanding the cemetery. The top, that was the maps we made when we were presenting them to Minto. Thank you.
So much. Well done. You did great. So, any final thoughts before we close?
Just making sure it's on. The final thought would be, we're talking about drone, navigating the drone, being a pilot of the drone, but also too, we need to make sure that we are focused in on servicing the drones, having a data base for the drone for compiling the information too. So that leads into more employment opportunities and more training opportunities. So it's just not flying the drones, but it's maintaining the drones, collecting the data, and who is receiving the data. So there's all these capabilities and opportunities. So the sky's the limit, but we need to be forward-thinking to make sure that the Alaska villages are also included in these projects.
I just have to say, we need more of this.
Yes.
Amazing, great job, and we can't wait to hire you.
So proud of you guys. Great job. I am so just this opportunity to share what the conversation we've had today. It ultimately comes down to the capacity in rural Alaska. The opportunity for capacity building is huge, and as more and more investment is going out into rural Alaska, the capacity building and really democratization of a lot of these technologies that are accessible. They're accessible technologies, as we can see. You don't need to be an engineer to fly a drone and do a mapping project. It's so much, and similarly on doing IT technical work or doing so much of what's going, the investments that are happening. And as this is occurring, it is really in partnership with you. And I say you in our industry partners, government partners, and you just heard how many partners we talked to by Battalion Sam, Alaska State Department of Transportation Public Facilities, Minto Village Council, Minto Development Corporation, the University of Alaska, Fairbanks, Alaska Center for Energy and Power, all of these entities coming together to support what is truly rural capacity building. And I think, when you're going out to do work in rural areas, think about who in the local community can we reach out to talk about building that up. Thank you.
I'd just like to say thank you so much for having us. This is a really big opportunity. Definitely the biggest audience I've presented to. But thank you.
Hi, I would also like to say this is the biggest group I've ever presented to, and just thank you for having us.
Well, fantastic job, truly. And thank you for your wonderful comments and insights into workforce development around drone technology, and truly, the sky is the limit. All right, so thank you and have a great morning.